Attention real estate enthusiasts, we have an exciting new development to share with you today. Fusion Capital, a dynamic real estate investment firm, is making waves in the industry with their innovative approach and impressive projects. Fusion Capital CEO Daniel Kamau graciously agreed to give us a sneak peek into their latest ventures, and we had Kevin tell us about Flamingo Towers. If you've been following Property Focus, you've likely heard about the remarkable work that Fusion Capital has accomplished. Well, Fusion Capital is taking the same level of excellence, applying it to their own projects, and the results are truly remarkable. Join us as we dive into the world of Fusion Estates and discover why Fusion Capital is quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with in the real estate space.
My name is Daniel Kamau. I'm the CEO at Fusion Capital, and Fusion Capital also entails Fusion Estates and Fusion Investment Management, and we're in the real estate space. We've been in that space for the last 13 years, but as a business, we've been in existence for about 18 years, operating in Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda. So for Kenyans in diaspora looking to invest back into their home countries, I think they should look at several things, but at the moment I would say three. One is the party that you're dealing with. Are they solid? What's the ownership like? How long have they been, practicing real estate? What is their track record? What have they previously delivered? Because you'll have a lot of fly-by-night operators who will come, set up shop, fly to the US and market to people, and a lot of us don't do the hard work, due diligencing those entities. The second thing, and this is becoming now critical going forward when it comes to diaspora, is corporate governance. How is that institution, if it's an institution we're talking about, how is it run? Do they have a board of directors? Do they report to a board? Who are their auditors? And a lot of times when dealing, even when investing, when it comes to private equity, we always talk about management, money, market. The most important of those three is management. Who are the people running this institution? What are their backgrounds? What have they done before? So corporate governance is very, very, very critical. And the third thing is, are they selling due diligenceable assets or land, for example? So if they're in land business, and I'll be talking about Fusion Estates, where we mostly deal with land. Is that land due diligenceable? By the time we are offering it to diaspora clients, have we acquired it? Have we titled it? What is the promise when it comes to title delivery? What period will we take? What approvals have we received? So have we gotten, the land board approval when acquiring it? Have we gotten the change of user? Those are critical questions that must be answered when you're dealing with any institution. So is the property you're selling due diligenceable? Is there a bank involved? And if there's a bank involved, have they charged that property so that I don't end up paying you all the money, then I'm left holding a title that's charged by a bank? So you again want to ensure that you can be able to, whatever you're buying, ticks all the boxes on ownership, on the fact that there are no encumbrances, on the fact that, I can be able to walk out of this office with the title. And this part of the reason Fusion Estates was formed. So it was formed to get into this land buying and selling space, be able to take care of the pains that a lot of buyers have faced in the recent past, where people are just left holding pieces of paper, not really contracts. They're left holding technically air and a piece of land that is really not there because the original landowner had not been paid. And so by the time, yet you have paid the land vendors or the people who are selling the land, but you really don't own that land. And those are some of the things we'll be trying to sort out when it comes to buying and selling of land. If I think of attractiveness from a diaspora clientele perspective, I think I can quickly think of three. One is valuations. So between 2019, there has been significant depreciation of the local currency by about 30%. So what you would have spent on, so say an eighth of an acre, which would have cost you probably $10,000, will be costing you today about $7,400. Just because the dollar was 104 then, it's 136 today. So from a valuations perspective, you're better placed acquiring the same. And you know, if you're sitting in diaspora, it doesn't mean that your earning power has gone down. It's probably, you know, it's probably improved from 2009 to date. And so there are opportunities, or it's attractive because valuations have been affected by the currency depreciation. And that's why we're really, you know, I would really encourage diasporians to consider investing in land now. The currency has significantly improved in the last 1 month, from upwards 150 something to today we're talking 136. So someone who bought land, someone seated in diaspora who bought land a month ago is way better, you know, took advantage of the currency situation. So we should put, for diasporians, they should take advantage of the currency situation. The second area of attractiveness is around the infrastructure improvement, and mostly when it comes to, you know, land. So Fusion Estates has been very careful when selecting, you know, where to buy and sell land. And, you know, we focus on the areas where there's significant, you know, infrastructure improvement, either by the national government or the county government. And as a result, what happens is that you acquire land, and in a couple of months, there's a power line coming through that area. You know, there's a road improvement, sometimes to Maram standards, sometimes to bitumen standards. And, you know, for that, then what you're guaranteed is that in a couple of years, you know, there will be uplift in value of that land. And so whether you're looking at it as an immediate place to develop your home, or you're looking at it as an investment, it ticks both boxes. And you know, that's an area of attractiveness. And that's why, you know, earlier on I say the party you deal with is very important. So you want a party that thinks through what it is that it's bringing to the market. And, you know, the third reason that makes it attractive for Kenyans in diaspora is that there has been a bit of a shakeup in the players in this industry, especially with the land buying and selling, the land buying and selling industry. There has been quite a bit of shakeup. And so the entities that have been left are a mix of some of the solid ones have, you know, remained. And, you know, I can only talk about Fusion Capital and Fusion Estates. I mean, Fusion has been in the market, playing in the same industry for 18 years. So 18 years of delivery, 18 years of a very clean track record, 18 years of delivering its promise. And so it's an entity that you can confidently deal with, be it, you know, partnering on partnership to develop, be it buying its delivered properties, or renting its properties, or buying land that we've put in the market. One of the main challenges real estate as an asset class is illiquid. And so you then have to choose where it is that you're investing. You have to really be specific on locations. So my advice mostly to Kenyans in diaspora is, if you're looking at buying land for investment or development, look at Nairobi metropolitan area, Nakuru metropolitan, Mombasa metropolitan, you know, very close to the cities where people want to work and where people live. So location, I would say, is a challenge, and so you have to, you know, pick and choose when it comes to location. But the other challenge that Kenyans in diaspora have faced is fraud. So there has been a lot of fraud in the market. And that's why earlier on I talked about, is a property you're dealing with due diligence support? Is a institution you're dealing with credible? Do they have a track record? So that's a challenge. And, you know, the other is a lot of Kenyans in diaspora have sent monies to family and friends, and that money has just, gone. They've been sent pictures of neighbors developing homes and all manner of stories. There are a lot of horror stories when it comes to that. And so you again want to entrust that process with an institution that is accountable and an institution that can be able to cover you, when things change. So for example, you'll be in diaspora, you've been able to execute half your contract, you're unable to complete. You again want to deal with an institution that can be able to say, hey, look, we can refund your money. And that's because that's a real challenge in the market where, Kenyans in diaspora just get to lose their very hard-earned money because they were either diverted by families or they were mismanaged by companies. And those are some of the challenges, and those are the challenges that Fusion Estates is in the market to solve.
Ladies and gentlemen, now let's go have a chat with Judy Thongori, who's a family lawyer, find out about family law and, more importantly, estate planning. Wakili, quick one. Wakili. Brilliant. Advocate or senior advocate, Judy Thongori, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic. Good. We have you on the show. Last time we were talking about matrimonial property. Now we're talking about estate planning.
Yes.
Briefly introduce yourself.
So my name is just that.
Yes.
Judy Thongori.
Yes.
I'm a family lawyer.
Okay.
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Now, we're talking about estate planning. What is estate planning and how do you do it?
Before we get there, I should tell you how I'm pleased that you're here talking about estate planning, because it is time for our people to get intentional about how to pass on property. We've talked a lot about wills, we've talked a lot about many things that people can do, but the fact that you come here today wanting to speak about estate planning tells me that we are ready to do the next thing.
What is a comprehensive estate plan?
Estate planning, though it sounds like a big word, a big two words,
Yes.
is simply the
Yes.
process of preparing for how to pass on property after your demise. And there are several ways of doing that. The first one, and the one that we use commonly, is wills, the writing of wills. The second one that you can use is having properties registered jointly. The third one that you can use is transferring your properties during your lifetime. The other one that you can have is gifts in contemplation of death. Like if you know you're dying, you can pass on your property at that time. And the final one is nomination, like the way you do in a SACCO. I think that's familiar to many of us, or insurance covers, where you name a nominee. All that is part of the process of planning to pass on properties during upon your demise. Yes, I can speak a little bit about each of them. And wills, they speak for themselves. It's the process of putting down your wishes so that when you're not there, we know how it is that you want your properties to be inherited. And a will can be written, and a will can also be spoken.
Really?
Yes.
Spoken?
The child, yes, indeed. We have what we call oral wills. Oral wills are spoken wills.
Yes.
And the law allows them,
Yes.
and they're valid provided they're spoken in the presence of two witnesses, and those witnesses are adults of sound mind, and provided that you die within 3 months of speaking your wishes, meaning that if you live beyond the 3 months, then you should speak your will again, unless of course you are in active service like the Navy or the Army. Then the exception can arise. That is an oral will.
Okay.
A written will, on the other hand, is written down in a document, but even then, it has to be witnessed by at least 2 witnesses. Okay, the requirement, is actually 2 witnesses. Okay, you have to sign, and then it is witnessed by 2 witnesses. So those becomes your wishes. And upon your demise, then we apply for what we call probate. We apply for the authority of the court over those written wishes. And upon being granted probate, that then becomes executable. Okay, your estate will be distributed in accordance with your wishes. So that is one way of estate planning.
Okay.
And thankfully,
Yes.
we don't have enough people writing wills, but there are more and more writing wills. So the other way of doing it of estate planning is to hold property jointly. Because the law says that when you hold property jointly with a person, provided it's very express that you hold it jointly, then upon the demise of one person, the survivor takes it all. Very popular, especially in families between husband and wife. But the survivor takes it all. And actually, it doesn't need to go to court.
Yes.
Okay? Once it is held jointly, all the survivor needs to do is to take the death certificate, the land registrar, okay, and the transfer will be effected into their sole name. So it's a very effective way of passing on property. The cost is very minimal, okay, and the period it takes is way much shorter than if you had to go through the court. Very effective, therefore, okay. Then you can give gifts during your lifetime. We call them, in law, under the Law of Succession Act, we call them gifts inter vivos, meaning you simply determine that I'll pass this property to my wife, to my husband, or to my children, or to whoever else you wish it to go upon your demise. Another also very effective way of passing on your property, because you pass it, it's gone, and that's it.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
Okay. Then there are others. There is the other one called gifts in contemplation of death. So if you know you're dying or you might die, like for example, I could say of this computer, I pass it on to you. But if I if I do not die, I will take it back. Okay? You could say of my car, I give you the keys. If I die, keep it. But if I don't die, then I want it back. That's called gift in contemplation of death. So if death does not happen, then the gift is not complete. You take it back. Okay? Then there is nomination. Like I said, you know, a very popular way, and we never quite think about it as a way of estate planning. But indeed it is. You know, when your circle asks you to name a nominee so that in the event of your demise, then your benefits go to that nominee. That is estate planning. When your insurance agent asks you or brings a form and says, name a nominee, that is nomination. Many people, when they're employed, they are told, name your next of kin or whoever, okay, or name your nominee. That's nomination. Also a very effective tool in estate planning. So estate planning sounds like a huge term, but indeed we do it all the time. But can we do it better? We can. Can we be more intentional? Yes, we can be.
How can estate planning minimize, taxes and preserve the value of your property?
There may not be much implication
Yes.
in taxes
Yes.
as such, because in your lifetime, if you pass on property to your children, you will pay stamp duty. The only time you don't pay stamp duty is if you pass the property from yourself to your spouse. There is no stamp duty payable. The next time that stamp duty is not payable is when you pass on the property from yourself to a company where you are a shareholder, a majority shareholder. There is no stamp duty payable. Otherwise, to pass to your children, you pay stamp duty during your lifetime. But upon your demise, you will be able to pass on your estate from yourself to your beneficiaries, who include your children and other people, without any duty, because there is no estate duty payable. Okay? Yes. So in a nutshell, there's actually more duty payable in terms of stamp duty.
Yes.
In the estate planning process, rather than upon your demise.
You've mentioned a will a lot. Yeah. What makes for a comprehensive will?
A will can be the simplest of documents and should be. It needs to be a document that will speak to people when you're not available to clarify. Because by the time the will has any legal effect, you will have to have died. By the way, during your lifetime, the will is just a piece of paper. It has no legal effect whatsoever. It starts to speak upon your demise. That's important. Therefore, just imagine that you will not be there to tell us this is what I meant or who I meant. So can it be very simple, very express, okay, and speak when you're no longer available to speak? That's important. And it doesn't have to be in English. It can be in Swahili, It will be translated during, if we need to translate it, it can be in whatever language. It can be handwritten, it can be typed.
Okay.
What gives legality to a will is the execution or the signing. The signing by the person who makes the will, who we call a testator, and the signing by the two people who must witness the will for it to be valid. The other very important thing to note is that you can thumbprint your will. You don't have to sign. You can thumbprint your will. And it could well be that you have thumbprinted because you may be physically incapable to sign your will.
Yes.
The only thing you must not be incapable of, you must be, your mental faculties must be sound. Okay? Your mental faculties must be sound. You must be a person of sound mind. You must know what you are doing. But you may be unable to physically sign your will, meaning you can thumbprint it. And there are many situations, by the way, where people are in hospital, perhaps they have been in an accident or they've gone through an operation. They are mentally sound, they know what they are doing, but they cannot sign. So in that case, you can thumbprint, even though you used to sign. The other important thing is that somebody can sign the will on your behalf under your direction. Say my hands were bandaged, or they couldn't move, but I know what I'm doing. I could tell you, sign this will on my behalf, okay? Or put a mark, put your thumbprint on my behalf, and provided that is acknowledged, that somebody else has signed on my behalf at my direction or with my direction, that also is valid. More importantly, that they are the two witnesses who witness that that's what happened. So there's a lot of leeway, so to speak, a lot of leeway in how you do it. So you need two witnesses so that your will is valid. So what should the will contain? Your wishes. So what properties do you own and how do you wish to dispose of them? Please indicate that. And then the other very important clause, because you don't know when you die. Maybe you die 30 years from then. Maybe you'll have acquired very many properties after that. There's a clause we call a residual clause. In that clause we say, any other property that I might acquire or any property that I have left out of this, my will, I wish it to go to so and so. Because if you do not have a residue clause, but you have only provided for the properties that you know or can remember or have at that time to go to certain people, then you die tested and intestate. What does that mean? That the court will be able to apply your wishes in respect of the properties that you have expressly set out there. But the court will be unable to deal with the properties that you have not provided for, unless you have a residual clause that says of all the properties that I may have forgotten, because sometimes we forget, and any properties that I may acquire hereafter, even those I wish them to go to so and so. A very, very important clause. The other key thing, other than property, and of course, you know, by property, I mean even shares, I mean money in an account, I mean land, I mean shares, I mean, as I talked about shares in a company, I mean, just about everything that you call assets.
Yes.
But another key important thing that you should put in a will for parents with children who are below 18 is the appointment of a guardian. Okay, the Children's Act allows that you can appoint a guardian. We call them a testamentary guardian. That in the event that I die before my children turn 18, here is who I wish to be their guardian. Extremely important, because, you know, as parents, we do everything and more that we can for our children. Okay, and when we die without appointing a guardian, what happens to those children? When the other parent is there and available, I guess that's easy. Okay, but when it's a single parent thing, what do people do? So people look around themselves, and one of the questions I know they ask many times is, who has small children, if the children are small, so they can take care of so-and-so's children. Final one on what the will should contain. I mean, there are many things it could contain, because, by the way, you're free to state, you know, what you wish. Is executors, because the question is, so I write a will, and then I go meet my maker. How does my will move from here to the next level? So you need to appoint executors, people who should step into your shoes, so that they can do what you would have done if you had been here. Okay, they're called executors. Okay, so you can have one, you can have two executors. So once you pass away, the executors then take that will, they file it in court and seek probate. Probate is basically legal authority, because without that legal authority of the court, then again, it's just a piece of paper, so to speak. Because you can imagine how many times people would write down somebody's wishes with what's happening in our country and elsewhere. So the court has to confirm that that will is valid. So that executor, the person you have named there, takes it to court and asks for the court to declare that will as a valid document. And that will be taken through gazettement, so that if there is any objection, then objection is made. And then after 6 months, that will is confirmed, and that becomes the document that the Ministry of Lands, the banks, and the circles, wherever you had your assets, will use that document to distribute your estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your recommendation in terms of anybody looking for an estate planning lawyer or conveyancing lawyer? What do you advise?
First of all, by the way, and the best one always is referral by word of mouth. I think that's the best, because somebody will be telling you, I want this kind of lawyer, I saw this lawyer and they did this for me. But also the website are all over. You can see what lawyers do. You can call the Law Society. There is a very robust secretariat, and they'll be able to tell you who is best placed to do this and that. I introduced myself by calling myself a family lawyer. So I'm a family lawyer. There are other people who are very well capacitated in other areas of law. We don't have a dearth of knowledge. It's out here. There's great expertise, I can say that, among my colleagues in Kenya.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. Yep. I know it was supposed to be a Wakili quick one, but we've exhausted some good amount of time. And I'm sure you are also enlightened. Thank you very much for coming onto the show.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Hope you enjoyed yourself.